The travel industry or retire abroad industry actually is imploding at the moment. That's actually what's really happening. I mean, the statistics on foreign travel are like way down, like 80%. You like it?
Oh man, I haven't had a meal like this in 10 years.
We had Thanksgiving dinner in Cuenca.
Well, you're lucky, Randy. It was going to be turkey and vegetables, but I decided to make a bunch of stuff.
So next year we'll have to at my house.
Well, thank you.
So how many people do we have? How many people do we have in the house in Ecuador? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, we've got 10 people in the house for Thanksgiving, and we're blessed.
Hello everybody, thanks for coming to our Retire Early Lifestyle King channel. And today we're talking about 3 good reasons not to travel abroad. Why even make a video like that? Because we feel that right now with everything that's going on, of course we've been talking about Retire Early Lifestyle for 10 years at home or abroad. And we've been giving people the real skinny. Now, the thing about that is there's a lot of people out there, there's so many people now travel blogging, and they all say they tell you what it's really like to do this and that and stuff. So we go on reputation. We've been doing this for over 10 years. And so getting to the 3 reasons, one of them is people know what's happening already. It's not a secret. The thing that's going on is that people are being invaded physically. I'm talking about healthy people. I'm not talking about people that are unhealthy or have symptoms of being sick and having like communicable diseases and this kind of thing. I'm talking about normal, everyday, healthy people are, getting their bodily privacy invaded by a lot of places. And there's a handful of places that they're not coming down as hard on the people. And so what's happened is that a lot of the travel has funneled to these areas. And so that brings me to the restrictions, is that a lot of people are also in fear. They're in fear of what's going to happen next. I mean, whenever you get a situation where a government, which has the power to force people to do things, becomes aggressive like that and invades people's personal, and I'm talking about, when I say people, again, I just want to remind people, I'm talking about healthy people, people with no symptoms, no sicknesses, and these people are getting, their physicality invaded by governments all around the globe, and it takes the fun away from travel. It also adds an element of fear, as I was saying, and so we're actually seeing a lot of people leave. Like here in Ecuador, we personally met expats, Americans, that are going back home. Now, in relation to the handful of places that aren't coming down as hard on a lot of people, there are still a lot of people actually going to Mexico, but that's because that Mexico happens to be one of those areas that at this time, for now, is not being real hard on people yet. So there's a lot of people now. The Dominican Republic also was one of those that realized real quick that these silly regulations, invading people's bodily privacy, was hurting their tourism, and so they removed them. So that's another place where people are going. All right, so travel has changed. It's changed in a very material way as to the experience of travel, where we can travel, how we can travel. I see a lot of bloggers, and people in this space that just totally are putting their head in the sand. And a lot of people are really hopeful that everything's just going to blow over. And of course, we wish the same thing. We wish that it blows over by next year, you know, and hopefully it will. And you see a lot of positive things happening in specific spots in the world. But in a lot of the world, you see an awful lot of really very concerning things happening in the world. What it does, it adds an element of uncertainty as far as living abroad, because if a government is willing to trespass on your physical privacy on one account, then on what other accounts are they going to surprise you and trespass upon you? See, so that adds that element of uncertainty. There is also reports of people reporting that after getting these sticks up their nose, they're having multiple nosebleeds after this kind of invasion, very invasive. The second reason that this brings me to, that it's made out to be that it's so much cheaper than living at home, and that's one of the carrots that's used for the retire abroad media, magazines, and that whole crowd there, which for people like us, which are retire early lifestyle king, it is cheaper because of the way we do it and the way that some people also do things the way that we do them. But the majority of people don't. There's so much information out there. You know, every traveler is now they always have been, you know, budget, what does it cost? I saw a video about Mexico, somebody traveling, and every single price mentioned was totally way out of, you know, the top end of touristic kind of pricing, and that was the video was titled "Budget for Traveling in Such and Such a City." I won't mention the city in Mexico, which is of course absurd and ridiculous for living there. You know, we live in the information age, and that just means that there's a lot of misinformation, and you got to kind of cut through it. Which brings me to this: we help people and teach people how to do what we do, but you can also help us out, help our channel out by passing the videos around and telling people about it. So the second thing, is it really cheaper? And you can see, if you go back to some of the videos we just made about retiring Florida on $1,400 to $1,800, which is, you know, is the same figure that, matter of fact, the RAM magazines say you can, you have the privilege of retiring in a place like Panama on $2,900. So that's like twice as much. You know? So little things like that, you know, is it really cheaper? Is it not cheaper? So many people are saying it's cheaper, but I think that people are becoming wiser. A lot of people have been abroad. They know, plus a lot of people have been on our channel, but not as many as could be on our channel. And, you know, cheaper is relative. I mean, you've got people from really big cities that are spending so much money that they really don't know the difference and don't know how to really ferret out what they should be paying. So there's just this constant thing where people are always comparing to back home, which of course is a silly thing to do because you're not back home. You're no longer in Kansas, you're somewhere else, and the locals have to live up at the local level. So case in point, just today I was clicked on a video that said that hundreds of thousands of people are relocating in the, you know, and moving abroad. Lots of people are leaving the U.S. and moving abroad. And by the title and the video maker, there was absolutely zero indication of what came in the middle of the video. And boom, lo and behold, right in the middle of the video, what is mentioned, but the name, a very specific, well-known retire abroad media and magazine name right in the middle of the video. And so what I'm saying is there's so much shill information out there, shill videos. They're just promotional videos for those within the industry that just aren't really being genuine about what's happening. And the correspondents that are on the forefront right now are only the ones that are in a handful of countries where they're not coming down hard on the people. But how long is that going to last? And things are changing so quickly. This kind of morphs into the first reason I gave you. But the second reason also is that it can be cheaper, but for most people it really isn't. because they haven't really factored in. I was just watching another video where they were spending $8,000 on a container to bring their items in. Anybody that's been longtime followers of our channel and our website at gringogoodsamaritans.com, you can go over there and get more information, knows that we don't recommend that. So, but what most people don't realize is that the average time frame, the revolving door, for one reason or another, people, whether it's 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, eventually to go back. So you got to take that container price and double it. So it's, you know, $8,000 to come down and $8,000 to go back, because most people, that's what they do. So you got to add that, and you got to factor that into the 2 to 4 year average. So, and then you've got immigration fees, and you've got lawyers' fees, and you've got airfare, and then you've got health care tyranny costs just to move about. In most cases, it's not cheaper.
You go this way. Yeah, so if the parallel to the street, right, so your dump truck's coming on the street, how do you get it? He came from this block. He was turning. He was coming out of the way, he's coming out of the lot. Yeah, I'm straight to this, as you can see, the power line is right over the gate. Nowadays, this cashier, I go for civil kids. Nowadays, not good.
Now the third reason is that there's a resurgence. Now we did this back in the 90s when our children were young, and so we did full-time 30-foot travel trailering. In the U.S., we toured the whole U.S. We did the East Coast, West Coast, the South. We spent time, weeks at a time, on toes in the sand on the beach, and we're really happy we did that when we were younger. Back then it wasn't so popular for young families with children to be doing it, but nowadays, you know, there's an awful lot of families doing it. And as far as being a young family doing it, it was very rare. We didn't see very many young families, and it was frowned upon. But we did it anyway. Because that's what Retire Early Lifestyle King is all about. It's about the freedom of living your life and not putting off your life for a future date that you have no way of knowing whether you'll have the life energy that you have right now, whether or not you will have that at a later date. There's no way. If you can't make one hair white or black, then how are you going to know? And especially in this environment where we're in, where things are just by the week, just changing left and right. And so, as you know, a lot of you followers know, we've spent most of our time, about 40 years, living, half of that living the Retire Early lifestyle in the U.S. Before the internet. And so the question becomes, well, what's the future of this channel? Well, it depends on world events. If this thing just blows over, right, then hey, everybody's good to go, right? But there's players in this scene that just want to keep this thing going for the rest of your life. So it just depends on who wins out here, in this tug of war. Speaking of which, did you hear the news that some really pompous airline executive out of Australia, talking about him and his airline buddies, thinking that this physical invasion of pricking people's bodies mandatorily should happen with all airlines, and of course it totally backfired, which I knew it was going to happen. I knew it was going to backfire. There's travel agencies, they're totally just boycotting the airline now. I don't remember people being so inconsiderate of other people's personal sovereignty over their own bodies and privacy and that kind of thing. I just do not recall people having so much disregard that they would extort people into getting trespassed upon physically. And I'm talking about, as usual, healthy people. I'm not talking about, look, if people are not healthy, historically, biblically, scientifically, they're the ones that get removed or remove themselves. Scrutiny of reason. Reason is something that is absent in the mind of the fearful. And if you don't know, ignorance breeds fear. So the way to overcome fear is to educate yourself. Nowadays, there's just so much way of doing things that people do, that they think that they can just go online and listen to, just read a little, watch a little, bit of news or whatever, and they know everything. My mom was like that, bless her heart. She passed away here recently. But she was like that. She thought she knew current events because of what she heard on TV. And of course, it goes deeper than that. Much deeper than that. Yeah, you have to make an effort to educate yourself. It takes time. It takes time. And a lot of times we just want to take shortcuts. We want to take shortcuts. The way to take shortcuts, though, is to confirm. You have to confirm. You have to be willing. That's the whole thing. You have to be willing to want the truth, to educate yourself. I really am concerned about a lot of these young people nowadays, a lot of these young digital nomads, travelers that don't really see beyond what's happening, and they think, they just innocently think, well, we'll just, no worries, we'll just go along to get along, and then they have these problems that you hear about. And then where does it end anyway, right? So absolutely, it does not stand the scrutiny of reasoning that if someone is fearful, then they themselves should do all the testing and the injection of things, foreign things in their bodies and all that. If that's something they want to do, then they're the ones that are protected. Because if they're not protected and they need everybody else to do it, then it totally disarms the argument. Because if it isn't effective for you to do it, unless everybody else does it, then there's no reason to do it at all because it isn't effective. So it's kind of a circular reasoning, It's circular reasoning. And yeah, the travel industry or retire abroad industry actually is imploding at the moment. Statistics on foreign travel are like way down, like 80%. I don't like seeing it, but you're seeing these kinds of, like that video I ran into today, that just totally disingenuous techniques from the RAM, Retire Abroad Media and Magazine, to try and get people to do something that they don't really want to do. Those are the 3 reasons. We think they're really good reasons. So we know all of the reasons why the promotions tell you that you should go and retire abroad. And if you really, really want to do that, we're not trying to tell you not to do it. We did it. We did it for the fun of it, and just for the experience. The future of the channel is something we are mulling over and reconsidering. Maybe we'll have to rename it Retire Early Lifestyle King Moves to a Farm and become self-sufficient. Let us know your thoughts on that in the comments.